On the search for the truth that they don't teach in school in the year 2184, Liv and her robot companion Eddie have found themselves snooping around a mysterious place with what appears to be huge pillars everywhere, recording the findings of magnetic readouts spiking all around them, with traces indicating a recent anomaly within the area. Liv eventually finds a holocron ring, but when she picks it up, the anomaly around her begins to spread, alerting the guard. Liv then bolts it as she's being chased by both the guards and the anomaly spreading further, with Eddie stating that at her current speed, she'll definitely be captured. But Liv manages to barely escape, running across a bridge as it collapses right behind her, putting a huge gap between her and the guard. But as Liv continues to run for her life, she starts to hear the voice of someone who sounds like they're reading something straight out of a history book, until that person calls her by her full name Olivia, pulling her out of a daydream right back into reality as the school day wraps up, with the teacher, Mrs. Khan, asking if she went into daydreaming again, and tells her to repeat the remainder of Mayor Townsend's speech. And to Miss Khan's surprise, Liv was able to repeat it word for word, adding that she listens to everything except lies, and stating that they are not safe no matter how many speeches they try to feed them. They weren't safe before the anomaly, and they aren't safe now. Asking Miss Khan, what makes you think this whole city isn't one magnetic glitch away from sending us all into the ocean? Or is your teacher's salary so good that you won't dare risk telling the truth? A statement that sends the entire class into a collective gasp, right as the bell rings to end off the school day. As Liv and her friends make their way through the hall, she is commended for what she said in the class, though everyone else is caught up discussing the latest video from Fractured Theory, showing off the collapse of a bridge from what appears to be magnetic interference, uncovered by the conspiracy theorists only known by a pseudonym Skylar. But some of Liv's friends brushes it off as not being real, until a news report states that there was a possible magnetic anomaly detected last night causing massive destruction, but it was later corrected to be a gas leak, which Liv realizes had she not gotten away when she did, things for her and her robot would have been really bad. When the news report ends, Liv's crush Theo and his friends come up to them asking if they're going to be at his party coming up on the weekend. While they're talking, Liv's mom shows up to pick her up from school, announcing that she was also able to find the pimple cream that Liv uses, embarrassing her in front of everyone. But Theo compliments her, saying that whatever pimple cream she is using, it sure is working. On the way back home, Liv is really upset with her mom refusing to talk to her, until she announces that she's come to the decision to transfer Liv to Halcyon Academy, which Liv is furious about, especially at the fact that as soon as Liv finally believes that she's figured out who she was, her mom decides that she wants to transfer her to a school across the city. But her mom reveals that she knows where Liv was last night and is completely against such reckless actions for the sake of a conspiracy, believing that the transfer will help her to come out of whatever fantasy land that Liv constantly finds herself in. And Liv goes as far as calling Halcyon Academy a place for losers, until her mother reminds her that it's the same school her father, who sadly passed away a decade ago during the anomaly, attended, hitting a soft spot for Liv. But she is adamant against transferring to the school, reminding her mom about all that stuff she said about God having something special in store for her. Liv finally found what she is good at, and now her mom just wants to send her away. But as they continue their discussion, the highway is hit with some magnetic interference that causes their car and others to come crashing out of the sky. However, when Liv's mom calls in to the insurance company, she states that there was no magnetic disturbance. Liv and Eddie then discuss why her mom is lying about what happened when it was clearly magnetic disturbance at play, as Liv saw the traffic disc glowing just like the rocks from last night before the bridge collapsed. After Liv's mom starts using military jargon over the phone, Liv remembers that her mom was once a member of the Halcyon Guard, but was kicked out right before Liv was born and never spoke about it ever since. And if a Halcyon guard whose sole responsibility was to protect the city against magnetic anomalies, it didn't make sense to Liv why her mom didn't realize an anomaly, unless Liv's mom is also part of the cover-up. And with that, let's put the Way of Yahweh Live Part 1 on our Christian fiction judgment scale. So for story direction and concept written by Andy Rugg, this issue, just as the other two issues that we've covered from this series, locks in at a 4 to 5 on our scale. Because gosh, I am really enjoying the way they are rolling out the world building of this story, set in 2184, where the remaining humans, after years of earthquakes that have devastated the world, now reside in a floating city over the Atlantic Ocean. I believe it's Atlantic Ocean. And I'm calling it now the events of Liv's adventure that night and what went on with Ty and his friends before they were captured is connected. It might not be, but I am calling it. But I would accept if I am completely wrong. But it feels good on the way they are lining up events for it. It just feels so good with that kind of setup for that to not be the case. But I must say as well that after reading part 1 and 2 of Ty's story, which part 2 left on a big cliffhanger, diving into Liv's story and all the complexity surrounding her was a welcome change of pace. I really feel it was pretty well done. So I want to know what happened to my boys at the end of part 2 and do look forward to Ty part 3 whenever that comes out, or maybe that might be addressed in Live part 2, you don't know. But regardless, this definitely did a good job of expanding upon the world building of the series, especially with the setup of a potential devastating anomaly looming around the corner. When it comes to dialogue, it's also a 4 to 5. I didn't cover every line in my summarization past, but it was still fun. It was still some fun stuff to read. It still had that cartoon vibe, but in a way more girly side. I mean, of course, this is the focus on the female character of the series. Liv describing how she reads Theo, especially the down to like the minor detail of bony hands and etc. was pretty funny. The dialogue between Liv and Miskan was also really well done, as well as Liv's argument with her mother in the car, especially like the part where her mom embarrassed her in front of all her friends. And I can't forget Eddie and his rattling off about facts and suggestions throughout the entire story. Artwork and creativity when it comes to comparing panel to panel to other comics we cover sits at a 3.5 out of 5. My favorite panel is this one, by the way. The site is still amazing though. This comic definitely did not have the issues that I had with Ty part 1 and part 2, where the art and dialogue, it wasn't really able to appreciate the dialogue and everything they were building up to because of how especially the dialogue between the 4 boys in Ty's part of the story, because of how the art and the speech bubbles came in. You didn't know who was really saying anything in the conversation until your second read through. But this one did the art style and stuff for this fit much better to the delivery style of the comic through their website than Ty part 1 and 2. So I just wanted to say that as well. When it comes to theological basis, which refers to how well Christian principles are adapted into a piece of fictional work, it's still for me a 0 out of 0. I know we're 3 issues in, and for it to not spike the theological basis section of our review despite the conversation in the car might sound like I'm dodging it, but no. As I stated, this section is more than just a character saying they prayed or a character saying they mentioning the word God in the panels first. And I don't think that not spiking our theological basis section takes away from the book. I feel like it's actually building up towards an issue in the future that would really spike this segment further along in the book as it continues the way it's going. So lastly, my recommendation against the volume of gospel-infused comics we have covered, it gets a 5 out of 5 like the other issue and the first issue of Ty's story, because it's also free to read on grouplaw.com. And once you have the guild pass, you'll be able to change the narrative flow, some of the narrative flow elements of the story as well. So overall, The Way of Yahweh Live Part 1 get a 4.125 out of 5 from the explanation. Link to purchase the Group Law Guild to read it for yourself and experience like changing the story along and stuff can be found at the top right hand corner of your screen or in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, then why not consider leaving a like on it and subscribing for more reviews and coverage of comics made by professing believers. If you enjoyed the video to the point you want to check out another one on the channel, then be sure to click the card at the top right hand corner to check out all our Group Law related reviews, or you can check out our last Group Law related review, which is Thai Part 2, which for some reason didn't make its way into the YouTube recommendations system, unlike all our other reviews and Thai Part 1. So if you guys haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out.